afternoon from the second day here at DTECH in New Orleans. With me this afternoon I have Rob Schwartz, who is the President and CEO of PDV Wireless and a founding member of the Utility Broadband Alliance. Is that correct, Rob?
That's correct, and thank you for having me. So I'm PDV's Chief Operating Officer, and our focus as PDV in bringing forward this Utility Broadband Alliance, or as we call UBBA, as we travel around the country as PDV talking to utilities about their communications needs. With grid modernization, we see a tremendous demand for connectivity on all the growing number of endpoints that are being used as the industrial Internet of Things continues to grow, and as the key issues of things like cybersecurity and with grid modernization, with distributed energy generation, we're finding that there's more and more need to understand how all these endpoints will be brought back to a central point for the command and control of these important electric grids throughout the country. Our background as PDV, we were founded by the founders of Nextel, so our understanding is how to run global networks for industrial purposes for the benefit of the users. And so as we were talking to utilities throughout the country, we saw that independently they were all trying to solve the same kind of problems, and that was really understanding how to apply modern communications technologies and in a private form, because as you know, utilities really rely on their own networks, not just the electric networks, but private communications networks, because the importance of that data traffic, they can't always rely on public networks. They want networks that are as resilient and reliable as their own networks are. And so, as we saw the same problems being addressed in different utilities throughout, and as different vendors trying to help with those problems, we realized there was a need for a centralized alliance between all those utilities. And so we formed and really helped stand up the Utilities Broadband Alliance. But importantly, the membership of that group, as we've disclosed and announced it this week, is led by utilities and for utilities. And so that includes leading edge utilities like Southern Company and Ameren and National Grid, and key vendors like Ericsson and Burns and McDonnell and Cisco and many others. We actually have 13 different companies in our initial announcement, and we're seeing here at this great show in DTECH this year that really was just the platform which we could talk about it, and now we have dozens more interested in joining this really important alliance. And really it's a place where utilities can come together, vendor agnostic, spectrum agnostic, and solution agnostic, to be able to share the kind of problems they're solving with the work that they're doing. And for example, we're working with Ameren in their pilot where they're trying to enhance the connectivity, the command and control of their network, both because they need it for resiliency and because of some of the mandates coming from the state agencies. We're working with Southern Company, who's been a market leader of using LTE. They have the largest private LTE network deployed for their own use. They also offer that service to third parties, other enterprises and utilities. And so the learning that they have from being the leading edge of applying this technology and solving these vital issues, they're now through this alliance sharing that with other members. And vendors are coming forward both with equipment solutions but also application solutions. So we want this to be the place where innovation can exist, again, technology agnostic, vendor agnostic, to solve the problems and use cases of utilities.
And if you were to summarize the mandate of the Utility Broadband Alliance, what would that be?
Yeah, it really is to take broadband in a private form, in private networks, and specifically we see the opportunity from PDV. Our contribution to the Alliance is we have a national band of 900 megahertz spectrum. It's low band spectrum that has very good physics characteristics of it. It propagates, it spreads very well across large service areas, and so utilities who have to cover places where there are no people, where the transmission lines exist and substations exist, we're bringing that to the table so that they can use that as part of the solution. But the overall, the goal of UBBA itself, I'm getting used to saying the name UBBA. We've got a lot of jokes that we'll share later about what that but the concept of utilities coming together, it's a unique industry. In other competitive industries, the players in the industry don't join forces to work together, instead because they compete with each other. In this sector, they have the opportunity that they're non-competitive, and just the opposite, they're supportive of each other. So when we deal with engineers that are testing out certain devices in the state of Georgia, and you have the same people in the state of California trying to understand the same issue of, will this device solve this particular purpose? They don't need to repeat that process. It's been type accepted by a utility in Georgia, and they share that data with other folks. So it's really a hub for them to be able to understand how the application of this new technology. I mean, the interesting thing about private LTE is that it's a technology that we all carry in our smartphones. It's the global standard that's used by entities throughout the world, by carriers use it, but the application of this technology now it's a global standard to be brought down to a private use for utilities is really the new use case of it. So we're not testing technologies, we're testing the application of this global technology for utilities to be able to use to solve their important needs.
What are the next steps? I mean, you announced the launch of the alliance.
That's a great question. So we announced the launch. We have an initial seed group of people as the founding members, and we're really asking here at the show, and it's great that we have the opportunity to talk about it here, that anyone who's interested in joining the alliance, it's UBBA.com as a website that they can go to and get more information about it. And our goal for the alliance is really to have it stand on its own. Right today we're seeding it to stand it up, but it should be owned and led by utilities overall. So the next step is really to bring more membership for those other utilities and the surrounding ecosystem to join, and then for those utilities to set the mandate of what the specific purpose is. What are the real use cases that they want to solve? What's the prioritization of things that should be discussed? What do they want to hear? And as an example, some of the utilities have already said, they have a pilot going on in a particular state. They want to host the next event and invite other utilities to come see it, come kick the tires, come understand the real world problems that they're solving with it. So rather than them having to build the exact same pilot in another place and spend their capital, leverage off of what's already been done and build on that. So this is so collectively the industry as a whole can build on all of the progress that's been made to date.
Unfortunately, this is all the time that we have for today, Rob. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for the time, we appreciate it.
For those of you watching, don't forget it's UBBA.com. From DTECH, thanks for watching.